Hello, I'm the Roystalgia Critic. I remember it because I don't have a choice in the matter. I love Batman, as you can see. I love, and I, like many people, was first exposed to Batman through cartoons and film, not even the comics. And over the years, I've witnessed many Batmen, some good, some bad, some ugly. So I figured I'd go through the ranks here and talk about my favorites and least favorites of the cinematic Batmans. Now, we will only be talking about Batmans who have appeared in films that were in theaters. Speaking of, I actually forgot one. Hold on. So without further ado, let's crack in. We'll do this sequentially. First off, Batman 66. The standard for Batman for many years. Now, people say, oh, well, it was intentionally camp and all that stuff. But I do think it still touches upon some of the things that, made Batman Batman. His humanity. Like Batman doing the Bat-2C with a bunch of hippies and stuff. In a time when maybe that wasn't even, in a time when hippies were very villainized by society. He taught empathy. And I think that carries through all the best Batman. The thing that separates a superhero from a vigilante is that a superhero saves people. A vigilante gets revenge. But let's continue onward. Next up we jump to 30 years later, Batman 89. Now, everyone loves Michael Keaton. And I do like him as, Batman, Bruce Wayne, but honestly, I think that mostly has to do with his Batsuit. He's got probably the best Batsuit of all the live-action Batsuits. Pure black with the gold symbol on the chest. That is how you make a fucking Bat costume. Hell yeah. You know what? I gave him an 8 out of 10. I'm going to boost him up to a 9. Because I love that suit so much. Next up, you have Batman Forever. One of my least favorite Batman films. I don't like Kilmer's Batman. I think, and I've said this elsewhere, but I think that it kind of it's caught in between two eras. Because it has some very psychological moments and some very dark moments from the Burton era, but it also has some very whimsical moments and camp moments, and especially camp casting from the Schumacher era. Jim Carrey as the Riddler. Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, Nicole Kidman, Chris O'Donnell, stuff like that. I'd probably give it a 3. Kilmer's not terrible, but he's just so uninspired. I'm sorry, man. Next we have Batman and Robin, George Clooney. Now, controversial opinion, I think Batman and Robin is fun. It was the first Batman film I saw in theaters. I saw it at the Council Bluffs Drive-In in 1997 when I was 4 years old. 4 years old, maybe even 3. And let me tell you, that is the best experience you could have for Batman and Robin. At a drive-in with funnel cake and popcorn, and when you're 4 years old and you're just like, pretty colors, it's a fun movie. And it has such a fantastic, yeah, George Clooney's a little flat, but he's elevated by Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, by Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. I think Michael Gough as Alfred, which, by the way, this film gets points for me just for being probably the first Batman film to really talk about Alfred and Bruce's relationship. Fantastic. And even like a really great cameo by John Glover as Floronic Man. Well, Jason Woodrue. Except instead of being a predatory college professor who, like, basically, you know, commits essay against one of his students and monkeys with her DNA, he's her partner, and they're like doing experiments on Santa Prisca. So, and that's also where we get Bane. And like, he's so like, John Glover takes this film from a 7 to a 9 for me, because he's just so much fun. Now everyone, time to scream. Fellow maniacs, let the bidding begin! Man, like, he should have been Riddler, not Jim Carrey. Like, if Burton had made Batman Forever, it would have had Billy D. And this is just what this is what I'm saying should have happened. It should have had Billy D. Williams as Two-Face and John Glover as the Riddler, because he actually did play the Riddler in Batman the Animated Series, and he did a fantastic job there. He was as I mentioned in the live stream, he was a computer programmer in that one, and he got robbed, and he became obsessed with getting revenge, and, you know, it's really good. It's really good stuff. For Clooney himself, people joke that he's the real-life Bruce Wayne. And, you know, like, he's managed to stay attractive after all these years, which, like, okay, he's wealthy, so he's got access to, you know, a fairly stress-free lifestyle, as well as cosmetics that we do not. You know, I won't look at, but, you know, I don't know if, you know, but that's just my, you know, whatever. I just remember he won, like, Sexiest Man Alive, like, a bunch of years in a row. Well. But he's better than Kilmer, not as good as Batman 66. I give him a solid 5. Next we go to Mask of the Phantasm. Yes, a Batman animated movie that made it to theaters, starring my boy, Kevin Conroy. Rest in peace. He died of cancer last year. Which is sad, because he is many people's Batman. Mine included. Like, he is the voice for Batman. Spoiler, 10 out of 10. Like, he's the best Batman on the list. There's no getting around it. There's no getting around it. You know, the film is dark, it's psychological, yet also, you know, it's a classic drama, it's a classic mystery. In fact, it even channels old school noir romance films, because when Andrea, the film's love interest, kisses Bruce, it pans to the curtains, which is an old trope from Golden Age cinema, where if characters had sex, they would pan to the curtains, and that would tell the audience all they needed to know. Like, that's how deep the film got with its lore, or with, like, its knowledge. The only part of it that I don't like is there is a very forced panoramic of Gotham in like CGI in the beginning, but it's just for the opening credits. It's not like Batman is swinging through CG Gotham. It's not like Spider-Man the Animated Series, which, oh man, Spider-Man the Animated Series, that is such garbage. It is bad. It aged way worse than you think it did. But yeah, no notes. Perfect Batman. That film also had Abe Vigoda as a mob boss, and then it also had Dana Delaney as Andrea Beaumont. So she played both Bruce and Clark's girlfriend, because Dana Delaney also played Lois Lane in the 90s Superman cartoon. Another fantastic show. So now we jump forward to 2005 with Batman Begins through Rises, and we have Christian Bale. Christian Bale is what I like to call the sad puppy Bruce. Whereas most Bruce Waynes are either like, where most Bruce Waynes kind of adopt the playboy persona, Bale's Bruce still kind of has that, like, sad puppy dog eyes. I especially think about it when he's talking to Rachel in the hotel after he's, like, dipping in the fountain with his lady friends. It's clear that he's like putting on an act. And then of course, this is like possibly the most broody Batman. Well, okay. Second most broody Batman now, but we'll get to him. He's also kind of the most, like, not fascistic, but, like, edgy? Not edgy. Morally gray. Let's put it like that. He does the whole thing where it's like, oh, I'm going to, I'm going to spy on people to get Joker, but it's going to be just the one time. I was actually just watching watching the video version of a podcast where two friends were talking about Dark Knight and how much Christopher Nolan is a bad person. Sorry. But that's not for me to say. Bale is okay. He is the least interesting part of all three films. Because the films are not necessarily about him. They're about Scarecrow, and Ra's, and Two-Face, and Joker, and Bane, and Catwoman. Nothing really happens to Batman throughout those films. He doesn't really have any development. Other than, and I do think there is some truth to the fact that Batman is the least interesting of his character, of, like, the Batman canon. In my dream Batman film, it wouldn't even be about Batman, it'd be about the Arkham Rogues having to fight the Court of Owls. And then Batman just comes in to clean up. But that's just my 2 cents. I'd give him a solid 6. It's not as good as Batman 66, but a little better than Clooney. Next, we go to the Dog Times. Affleck. Or Batfleck. I was not a fan of Man of Steel. It was okay. Then Batman v Superman came out and it was garbage. And, like, people are like, oh, well, it's actually better in the version that Zack Snyder, the Snyder Cut. Bullshit. There is only so much you can do to polish a turd. Adding more to the turd will not make it a better turd. Will not make it less of a turd. If you garnish a turd, it's just a turd with garnish. And, like, first off, it does the whole... It literally rips off, like, all the other Batmen somehow with effing... You have... The parent's death. You have the psychological processing of the parent's death that's from Batman Forever. You've got all this bullshit. And then, like, this Batman effing kills people. And, like, yeah, no, that's not, like, a huge thing for Batman. Michael Keaton killed people. Even Adam West accidentally killed people. He punched some of Penguin's goons that were dehydrated and rehydrated, and that turned them into antimatter, which basically killed them. Like, they're never going to be on this plane of existence again. It's still killing. But then, like, they make a big deal about but then they make a big deal about it in the third act when Batman has to kill one of Lex Luthor's henchmen who's holding Ma Kent hostage. And I'm not calling her Martha. She is not Martha. She is Ma Kent. Ma Kent. Okay, it's dumb and like, why did you say that? And like the only good parts of the movie were ripped straight off comics. Fucking, you know, your parents taught you that you were special. My parents taught me a different lesson, dying in the gutter. Something like that. You know, they taught me the world only made sense when you forced it to. And like the costume is based on Batman Noel, which meh. To me, it looks more like Dark Knight Returns, which is also a bad comic because I don't like Frank Miller. So I'm giving that I'm giving Batfleck a big old goose egg. Not technically his fault, but it still sucked. I gotta run through these quickly. I'm getting low storage. Lego Batman, I'll give him a 7. He was, you know, he was fine. He served the needs of the plot, but he wasn't really, you know, I didn't think he could hold his film as, basically the whole joke for Lego Batman is that Job has to raise his nephew, because yeah, it's the two dudes from Arrested Development. And then finally Pattinson, little better than I would say. I prefer watching him to watching Adam West. Sad to admit. And I actually do like his version of Bruce. He's so sad and brooding. You know, perfect. I give him 7.5. I'm sorry that I'm rushing through the end of this. I'm getting low storage things. I really gotta wrap this up. Y'all have a good one. This is Royce Miller. I'm outie.